Today, space is essential not only to our way of life, it's absolutely critical to the modern way of war. GPS, ATMs, cell phones, gas pumps, traffic lights, power grids, guided missiles, surveillance, RPAs, ground combat control. There's no such thing as a day without space operations. You just don't see them. Earth is only half the battle. Cyber attacks and jamming of our satellites. Microsatellites that can create a debris field. At 17,000 miles an hour, a piece of metal the size of a coin can be weaponized. Now is the time for a military branch with a clear and singular focus on space. A military branch that protects the hopes and dreams of America and our way of life as the space domain becomes more and more contested. It's time for another giant leap. The United States Space Force is being built from the brightest minds across the space operations of the Air Force, our joint services, and the private sector. We aren't just getting ready for the near future, we're getting ready for the 22nd century. When our enemies ask, what if? We will have an answer. When foreign powers can build bases on the dark side of the moon, when private companies are inventing a new economy beyond our planet, we need to stay one step ahead of the future. The future is where we'll make history. We will fight in an environment with no up or down, no left or right, where there are no borders and nowhere to hide. Our Space Force is defending our country, here on Earth and wherever our mission takes us. As commerce and exploration expand, we will imagine the unimaginable, anticipate the inconceivable, and prepare for the impossible. We won't just think outside the box. We'll think outside the atmosphere, in one of the most challenging environments ever known.
This is going to be the proof for you.
Today's ceremony, however, has very special meaning.
Okay, to give you the strength to have the courage to trust in the plan for the next 6 months, because you're going to see overwhelming proof.
Because today, we are not merely transferring power from one administration to another, or from one party to another.
Everybody. From the Oval Office tonight, President Trump with a wink and a tease.
Thank you very much. You'll find out.
But we are transferring power from Washington, D.C., and giving it back to you, the people.
Every single government on Earth, all of them, have capitulated over to Trump.
White House veterans warn words matter.
Those words that come out of the president's mouth have an impact all around the globe, and sometimes there are unintended consequences because of the words that are spoken.
Mr. President, I'll give this ball to you, and now the ball is in your court.
The gift of a soccer ball.
You guys know what this represents?
Tell us, sir.
Maybe it's the calm before the storm.
What's the storm?
Could be the calm before the storm.
What's storm, Mr. President?
You'll find out.
Do not allow anyone to tell you that it cannot be done. No challenge can match the heart and fight and spirit of America. We will not fail. Our country will thrive and prosper again.
I got to say, 4 years ago, I was honoured to come to America to bring the Brexit message, the message that you can beat the establishment. And that is what Donald Trump did. He beat the pollsters, he beat the media, he beat all the predictions. And here's the worst bit, they've never forgiven him for it. They've never, ever forgiven him. They have spent 4 years trying to delegitimize him. 4 years of the Russia hoax. 4 years of the false impeachment. Most human beings under that barrage would have given up. This is the single most resilient and bravest person I have ever met in my life. And when you vote next week, you are not just voting for who the President of the United States of America is, you are voting for the leader of the free world. You are voting for the only current leader in the free world who has got the guts to stand up and fight.
It's just chaos all the time. It seems like he's the commander of the chaos.
To fight for patriotism, to fight against globalism. You'll be voting for the only leader in the Western world with the real courage to stand up to the Chinese Communist Party. And a man who in 4 years hasn't just cut your taxes, hasn't just improved the economy, but a man who right now is bringing Israel together with Arab nations.
We have before us a rare opportunity to bring security and stability and peace to this region and to its people, defeating terrorism and creating a future of harmony, prosperity, and peace.
And that's what he's done.
After 49 years, Israel and the United Arab Emirates will fully normalize their diplomatic relations. They will exchange embassies and ambassadors and begin cooperation across the board.
And I wish you Godspeed. I really do.
Thank you.
This is going to be the proof for you. And he took 6 months to clean house, clean the swamp in Washington.
The White House insisting President Trump never tips his hand.
We're never going to say in advance what the president's going to do.
We need to be tough at times, but you can't get everything done by putting people in a corner.
Tonight, the former reality TV star turned president is leaving American allies and adversaries with a cliffhanger.
You know, it's not about I win, you lose. The other thing is, when you look at the Congress, though, it's like 24 hours since John McCain was put to death.
And that was the summer of 2017, and that's where this whole story I'm going to tell you today begins. If it wasn't for us being so asleep, none of this would have been allowed to happen.
Dilly, stop. Okay, stop. You chill. Okay, stop.
All I can say to you is that we are responsible, all of us.
Are you f***ing kidding me? The Super Bowl?
The next 6 months are an opportunity. It's an opportunity for all of you to become the kind of hero that you've always wanted to be in your eyes.
Our agency has a very good reputation for finding people.
No fences on the backside. We're going to have to cover that 2 and 3 corner.
U.S. Marshals suit up to get to work. They're looking for someone on the run, but not a dangerous criminal.
We're going after children.
Well, CBS 46 cameras were there during this mission, and our Megan Packer takes us inside Operation Not Forgotten.
Trust in the plan that there are good people fighting against the sickest, most evil people in the creation of evil. Come on. There are good people out there. You get up and be part of this. Everything is about Donald Trump and the abbreviation that you get with Q called D-class or DECLAS. DECLAS is code or an abbreviation for D-class, and D-class is short for declassified. So the main people behind all of this have been the NSA.
Phone in your pocket right now might be a government spying device.
Access to everything about you. As soon as that information became available, a group of people within the military said, this is our chance.
The NSA's Security and Counterintelligence Directorate, also known as the Q Group, is the agency's internal police force.
They're basically the cops or the police of the NSA. Their main job is to make sure that their many analysts and officers and program managers are not targeted by foreign intelligence services.
There is a moment in time, and we must act upon this.
So I think Joe Biden and the Biden family are compromised. Obviously, I've referenced that I held a Q clearance. You're briefed on compromise and who you're able to talk with and deal and do business with.
50 years from now, our great-grandchildren will look back and say, what a beautiful history we wrote together.
The minions who are running things for whoever is hidden in the background.
Mr. President.
What these minions don't seem to get is that they're just as vulnerable as we are.
Meanwhile, as the Trump-Comey storm grows, the president kicked off his first foreign trip as US leader. He's set to touch down later this Saturday in Saudi Arabia, the first leg of a whirlwind 8-day tour that will take him to Israel.
And then he went to Saudi Arabia first because he needed to. There's a reason he went to Saudi Arabia first.
All eyes are, of course, on Trump as he takes his first steps as head of state on the world stage.
Al-Walid was the crown prince at that time. Now, he got right into the whole adrenochrome thing.
What is this shit? That stuff makes pure mescaline seem like ginger beer, man. Adrenochrome.
Adrenochrome? You are a disgrace, not only to the GOP, but to all of America. Withdraw from the U.S. presidential race, as you will never win.
This is all because this Al-Walid got sucked in by the cabal, the 13 families, one of the three main arms of their weaponry. And there are a lot of Saudis that didn't like this. They knew what was going on and they didn't like it. But there's a lot of people that draw lines with children.
Really don't think he's the right messenger for a message, to bring a message of peace and unity to the Middle East.
Of a pretty stunning moment. Jim was talking about the publicity of this. Well, Saudi King Salman presented that to the president. It's a gold medal. The collar of Abdulaziz Al Saud is what it's called, and it's the nation's highest honor. What is the symbolism there? What is the intention as he gives him that honor? Because already what we are seeing, the grandeur of this welcome, is so different from what we've seen with past presidents.
When Trump arrived in the summer of 2017, he laid out all of the documents. That's what they did to everyone. They had folders, and the folders had all the documents.
These are some of the 33 Haitian children an American Baptist group allegedly tried to unlawfully take out of the country on Saturday.
Annalberia is a small village with a painful past. All of these girls are victims of trafficking.
There were photographs. They came with discs, CDs, and DVDs, and the CDs and DVDs had fantastic production value, and it had all of their footage doing the most horrific things. The NSA has it all on all of these people.
This was, quite a surprising move here by Prince Mohammed. I mean, most of all, this arrest or detainment of Al-Walid.
We're talking about weeks after Trump came and on his visit in July of 2017 to Saudi Arabia. After Trump left, that's when the arrests happened.
Early in November, something happened that many Saudis would have thought unimaginable. From their homes across the country, dozens of the kingdom's richest men, including members of the royal family, were swept up and detained in the gilded cage of Riyadh's Ritz-Carlton Hotel.
Well, his get-out-of-jail card is probably the priciest of them all. They're currently asking for around $6 billion from him out of an $18.7 billion net worth. So that's a tall price. He apparently is resisting that kind of a fine.
But Al-Walid is the one that sort of handpicked Barack Obama as somebody that they could work with.
Faith has always been a guiding force in our...
Nearly 20% of Americans think President Barack Obama is a Muslim. This according to a recent poll by the Pew Research Center.
About 1/5 of Americans are not willing to even accept a man at his word when he says, I'm a Christian.
You are absolutely right that John McCain has not talked about my Muslim faith, and you're absolutely right that has not come... my Christian faith.
It was this Crown Prince Al-Walid of Saudi Arabia that decided to make Obama the one that they were going to turn into this linchpin of U.S. presidents.
I, Barack Hussein Obama, do solemnly swear, to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States.
So help you God?
So help me God.
Congratulations, Mr. President.
And Al-Walid was arrested, taken down, and in his place was bin Salman. And bin Salman is somebody who was not okay with what Al-Walid was doing. Now, this is absolutely the truth. What happened the second day? The second day, the Crown Prince and the King both submitted publicly control over Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. And how do you know this? Because they publicly held this sword dance ritual, which is a very, very big deal to the Muslim culture. And only the king holds the sword. Who's at the very center, at the top of the podium, and who everyone else is around in support of, Donald Trump is holding the sword. This is Saudi Arabia publicly capitulating, and in one of the photos that we have, it shows the Saudi king, and he looks like he's about to die. He's in so much pain at what's going on here. They just handed over the keys to Saudi Arabia to Donald J. Trump. So what is important to note is that where Trump went next, he went with Saudi as part of his team. So you need to understand, it's not just that he didn't go there and take them down and that they're never going to do it. No, they're now working for him. They're part of this team. They're part of the Q plan now. You need to wrap your heads around this.
Direct from Riyadh, President Trump took the first official flight.
And then the days that followed, Trump left Saudi Arabia and went immediately to Israel.
Defeating terrorism and creating a future of harmony, prosperity, and peace. But we can only get there working together. There is no other way.
Mr. Trump has already disappointed many Israelis. He promised to move the US embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem, his next stop. However, all the signs are that won't happen now.
One thing, in fact, we can just see there, just let me stop by saying we see President Trump there wearing a skull cap, a kippah, in fact, as it's known in Hebrew, being taken to the Western Wall by the ultra-Orthodox rabbi in charge of the location. And clearly he's been asked to look at text as such, explaining the importance of the wall. What is also very interesting for viewers is the fact that he's actually standing with his wife, because men and women are actually separated in front of the wall.
Do you remember how angry most of you got when you saw those pictures of Donald Trump at the Wailing Wall? He's not a puppet for the Zionists. There are no Zionists. Remember, folks, there's just the Phoenicians. There's just those 13 families, and they're very smart, and they're very good. And he sat down with everybody in front of the camera and behind the cameras the people that are really in power, and he laid it all out on these minions. They were balking at him, even though he showed that the Saudis had signed over, and the Israelis were balking at Trump and were not prepared to sign over, and that's why Trump stayed an extra day. Trump was not going to leave Israel without them capitulating to him.
Jerusalem, the ancient city claimed by 3 of the world's great religions, now central in a dispute pitting President Trump and Israel's prime minister against most world leaders. The president telling the heads of Israel, Egypt, Jordan, Saudi Arabia, and the Palestinians today he will recognize Jerusalem as Israel's capital, an unprecedented move breaking with U.S. policy since Israel was created.
And the sort of the how do you know moment is after visiting the Wailing Wall, Israel publicly submitted allowing the United States to move their embassy to Jerusalem.
But the president will not move the U.S. embassy from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem right away, despite a campaign promise.
We will move the American embassy to the eternal capital of the Jewish people, Jerusalem.
This is symbolic. It is a symbolic act to show who has the power, even in the Holy Land.
And we extend a hand in friendship to Israel, the Palestinians, and to all of their neighbors. May there be peace. May God bless this embassy. May God bless all who serve there. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.
Step number 2 of the journey completed.
President Trump met with Pope Francis at the Vatican, toured St. Peter's Basilica.
Saudi, Israel, and then the Vatican.
Hi, George. Good morning from Rome. As you know, these are 2 leaders who don't see eye to eye on a number of issues. They had that very public feud during the campaign over immigration. But today, that first face-to-face right here at the Vatican, and they both seem to genuinely get along.
Vatican, and he presents to Pope Francis a massive, apparently the folder was absolutely huge, and handed it over to them and said, yeah, take your time, have a look-see. Apparently Trump kept making little digs at Pope Francis about his red shoes. Yeah, you might want to put your red shoes on when you look at all of this stuff. And so that's what Trump is saying. I'm not leaving here until you sign some documents for me. It took the Vatican that night, and the next day they capitulated.
When you see Pope Francis with a world leader and he meets a lot of them, it's easy to read into it. He doesn't have much of a poker face, I guess. But here he is with German Chancellor Angela Merkel, happy. Here he is with President Putin, not too thrilled. See you with President Obama, laughing it up. And finally, here he is with the Trump. It looks less like a meeting, more like the Trump family passed away and they don't know it yet.
Donald Trump has a look on his face that is a mixture of victory, joy, and mischievousness.
And the 2 men who so publicly clashed, today ending their meeting in a handshake. Yeah, so there were no cameras inside for the meeting between the president and the Pope, but we are hearing a little bit about what they discussed. They talked about the situation in the Middle East. They talked about the protection of Christian communities around the world. A number of international affairs issue talked about here today.
And they symbolically signed off. Now, what did the Vatican have to do to sign off? You see, the Fed is controlled by a certain group within the Catholic Church. Who went forth and spread the teachings of Christianity? The Jesuits!
When is a central bank not a central bank? When is a private bank public and a public bank private? Sound mysterious and full of secrets? Well, that's the Vatican Bank.
Is in 1929 they hit a deal with Mussolini, the head of the fascist state. He recognized them as a real country, that little piece of land, and in return gave them about $1 billion in today's money, compensating them for the loss of the Papal States. They said, what do we do with $1 billion? We're clerics, not financiers. They hired a guy who was a brilliant financial whiz, Bernardino Nogaro. He came in, he understood arbitrage, he understood offshore banking, he understood how to move hard assets around, investments in real estate, and he started to do that. In the middle of World War II, he said to the Pope, I need a bank. It's not enough to have correspondent banks. We need to move our money off the radar so the British and Americans can't follow what we're doing, because they were playing both sides. The Americans and Brits they were investing in, and the Germans and Italians. They didn't know who would win. They wanted to make sure they were covered. And that's the birth of the Vatican Bank. They go from an institution that can't embrace capitalism to one that suddenly has its own bank in the middle of the war.
They were in control of the Fed. So Trump did not leave until Pope Francis issued a papal bull announcing that by a certain date, the Vatican Bank, which was in charge of was the head executor, the exchequer of all of the earth-wide Federal Reserve banking systems in each country, would be handed over to one Donald J. Trump. Donald J. Trump is not, Mark, just the executor, the exchequer of the U.S. Treasury and therefore the Fed within the United States. He is the exchequer for Earth. He is the exchequer for the treasuries for every single country on Earth. That's what I told you earlier. No human being in history has ever been more powerful, owned more things, or richer than Donald Trump.
And we are working on that as we speak. We have conversations with various representatives of China. I believe that will all work out very well for everybody. China, Japan, the United States, and everybody in the region. As far as the currency devaluations, I've been complaining about that for a long time. And I believe that we will all eventually, and probably very much sooner than a lot of people understand or think, we will be all at a level playing field. Because that's the only way it's fair. That's the only way that you can fairly compete in trade and other things. And we will be on that field, and we will all be working very hard to do great for our country. But it has to be fair, and we will make it fair.
London was the financial arm of all of this. Washington was the military arm. Rome was the central brain, the core. They call it the spirit, but it's not. It's sort of the central brain of this unholy trinity of power. And what they did by doing this is that so Trump's thinking is like the CIA, the Rothschilds, and the financial district of the city of London is too evil. It's too far gone. Don't even want to work with them. And he's not. He circumvented them.
Its patriarch during the second half of the 20th century was Sir Evelyn Rothschild, who even today is the financial advisor to Queen Elizabeth.
All of their power was cut off, and they have been forced to do some really humbling things over the last 18 months in particular by POTUS. Now, when Trump left Rome, he flew directly to Brussels.
A city he previously called a hellhole. Can he and NATO's European members agree on who their real enemies are? And on International Missing Children's Day, we learn what can be done to both find and prevent losing children.
And you all know the two big players that are in Brussels. You have this European Parliamentary for the EU, and then you also have NATO that just happens to be in Brussels as well. They were all there, all of the political heads, along with their finance ministers, and then all of the behind-the-scenes individual players were all there for this. And Trump apparently very famously He called everyone together for this meeting, and then he purposely came late.
Well, it's difficult to predict or to interpret how they're feeling, but it's basically been a meeting, not a summit, that has been surrounded by a lot of anxiety from all in Brussels and also from European capitals.
And he made them just sweat it out. He made these pieces of dung in Brussels sweat it out. So Trump makes them wait, he walks in late, he throws this big folder on the table, and he said, "We have it all. We have it all." And in short order, those little rats, those little cowards, they all capitulated in very, very short order. And there was a whole bunch of things that occurred in the following days from there, including the EU backing down on Brexit.
No more financial contributions, no more European Court of Justice, no more common fisheries policy, no more being talked down to, no more being bullied, no more Guy Verhofstadt. I mean, what's not to like? I know you're going to miss us. I know you want to ban our national flags, but we're going to wave you goodbye, and we'll look forward in the future to working with you as sovereign.
If you disobey the rules, you get cut off. Could we please remove the flags?
And NATO having to, step up and basically pay for the bulk, and all of these different nations instead of the United States having to fund all of them.
He plans to tell other members to spend more on defence and step up the fight against terrorism.
I have been very, very direct with Secretary Stoltenberg and members of the alliance in saying that NATO members must finally contribute their fair share and meet their financial obligations. But 23 of the 28 member nations are still not paying what they should be paying and what they are supposed to be paying for their defense.
It's not like that's a big deal in terms of saving money or anything. No, it's symbolic. It's symbolic. You're going to pay for NATO from now on. We're not, because I'm in charge. So when the photo op came for this famous meeting in Brussels, Trump again came late. And he just shows to everyone who was there that he was in charge of the meeting. He disseminated the information to the press. He said what was going down. He showed them. He came in late, and then he left. And he owns the EU and NATO. That's why they've done everything they've done ever since. Now, in October of 2017, there was an attempt on the life of the new Saudi crown prince.
Yeah, if you look at the map, Jake, it gives you an idea of why this was so deadly.
Hundreds of our fellow citizens are now mourning the sudden loss of a loved one.
This little operation that was set for him in Las Vegas was taken down at the last second, and he was protected.
Some at the concert thought it was firecrackers, some thought it was something wrong with the audio. They say it took them just a few moments to realize what was happening.
What happened at this Las Vegas battle?
Hey, you guys! Get down! Go that way! Get out of here!
Bin Salman was saved by the U.S. military through the intel received by the NSA, and then given to Bin Salman by Trump. He was asked to take on an even bigger role, and he agreed to do it. He basically was saying to Trump, anything, my brother, anything, my brother.
Thank you very much, everybody. It's a great honor to have the Crown Prince with us.
It was a low-key arrival for such a high-profile visit. The Crown Prince from Saudi Arabia did not go in through the front door, but soon found himself in the Oval Office. And there, US President Donald Trump addressing mainly a domestic audience.
On Trump's behalf, bin Salman went to all of the major corporations, and in particular, the media companies, so Google, Apple, Twitter, Facebook, Microsoft, all of these main companies were all targeted by bin Salman. And on Trump's behalf, he visited all of them. And of course, this is all verifiable. I've got all of the documentation, all of the imagery showing all of these meetings taking place in late October, early November of 2017. And this is bin Salman essentially helping Trump to do all of this work for him. And he went and he visited all of these puppet heads for all of these puppet companies, and he basically read them the riot act and showed them the documentation that the NSA had on all of them, and basically said, you play for Team Trump, and Trump is now in control of these corporations, or declass. All of this information will be declassified one by one, and each one of you will be offered up to the masses as a child murderer. So they all capitulated, and there's the money shots of all of these various heads of all of these various companies, including Jack Dorsey for Twitter. So all this stuff that's been going on lately with the censorship of Trump by Twitter, it's all part of the game that needs to be played out for people to get angry and to wake up to what the heck is the evil that's going on, and to say something about it and to do something about it and begin to change their lives. So that's real. All of that is real. And bin Salman helped Trump do this, and he went to all of those CEO heads of all of those major media companies and social media companies.
We are the oldest ally, France of America and the Middle East, more than 80 years.
But there was a warning from the president to Saudi Arabia and others in the region.
Whether it's Saudi Arabia or other countries, as we know, there will be no funding. We have a zero tolerance for the funding of terrorists.
Among the things to be covered in the talks, the Iran nuclear deal, security across the Middle East.
We've become very good friends over a fairly short period of time.
Mohammed bin Salman has a long list of things to be discussed, debated and agreed during this US trip, and he does so believing his relationship with the president is deep, strong and mutually beneficial.
Welcome to Mount Rushmore, welcome to South Dakota, and enjoy your evening.
Before the world, this monument will never be desecrated. These heroes will never be defaced. Their legacy will never, ever be destroyed. Their achievements will never be forgotten. And Mount Rushmore will stand forever as an eternal tribute to our forefathers and to our freedom. We gather tonight to herald the most important day in the history of nations, July 4th, 1776. At those words, every American heart should swell with pride. Every American family should cheer with delight, and every American patriot should be filled with joy, because each of you lives in the most magnificent country in the history of the world, and it will soon be greater than ever before. Our founders launched not only a revolution in government, but a revolution in the pursuit of justice, equality, liberty, and prosperity. No nation has done more to advance the human condition than the United States of America. And no people have done more to promote human progress than the citizens of our great nation. We will state the truth in full, without apology. We declare that the United States of America is the most just and exceptional nation ever to exist on earth. We are proud of the fact that our country was founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and we understand that these values have dramatically advanced the cause of peace and justice throughout the world. We know that the American family is the bedrock of American life. We recognize the solemn right and moral duty of every nation to secure its borders. And we are building the wall. We remember that governments exist to protect the safety and happiness of their own people. A nation must care for its own citizens first. We must take care of America first. It's time. We believe in equal opportunity, equal justice, and equal treatment for citizens of every race, background, religion, and creed. Every child of every color, born and unborn, is made in the holy image of God. Above all, our children from every community must be taught that to be American is to inherit the spirit of the most adventurous and confident people ever to walk the face of the earth. Americans are the people who pursued our manifest destiny across the ocean, into the uncharted wilderness, over the tallest mountains, and then into the skies, and even into the stars. My fellow citizens, America's destiny is in our sights. America's heroes are embedded in our hearts. America's future is in our hands. And ladies and gentlemen, the best is yet to come. It is time for our politicians to summon the bravery and determination of our American ancestors. It is time. It is time to plant our flag and to protect the greatest of this nation for citizens of every race, in every city, and every part of this glorious land. For the sake of our honor, for the sake of our children, for the sake of our union, we must protect and preserve our history, our heritage, and our great heroes.
Here tonight, before the eyes of our forefathers, Americans declare again, as we did 244 years ago, that we will not be tyrannized, we will not be demeaned, and we will not be intimidated by bad, evil people. It will not happen.